Welcome to the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. Your guide on this journey is Amy Sylvis, ready to unlock the keys to a life of true abundance. We're diving into everything from financial freedom and optimal health to meaningful relationships, geographic freedom, and everything in between. It's about creating a life rich in experiences, purpose, and joy. Get ready for empowering conversations, expert insights, and real-life stories that inspire you to live abundantly. If you're ready for the secrets to an abundant life, hit that subscribe button now, and let's get started.
Everyone, I am so blessed and grateful to welcome you to the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. My name is Amy Sylvis, and my goodness, do I have a treat for you today. I have the amazing Trevor McGregor, or as I call him, Coach T. Let me introduce him. Hi, Coach T. Thanks so much for joining us today.
No, Amy, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to share all of this goodness with your listeners.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be a great one. It's going to be a great one. Well, I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about you just so they have some context about the goodness that we're going to bring them today. Trevor McGregor has been a real estate investor for over 2 decades now and is also a high performance coach, master coach with over 40,000 one-to-one coaching sessions under his belt. He has worked with clients from around the world, including Fortune 500 executives, doctors, attorneys, high-level real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and even Olympic athletes. They all come to Trevor for one thing, life-changing transformation, both personally and professionally, so that they can achieve more success, more wealth, more freedom faster than they ever thought possible. Whoa, who doesn't want that, Coach T? That's amazing. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's always fun to hear that back, but it's absolutely my passion. It's what I've devoted my life to. And there's just no question about it. Success leaves clues. I mean, Amy, as you know, because we worked together for quite some time now, you can't do 40,000 coaching sessions and have been in real estate for 20 years without, learning, what allows people to go out there and be phenomenally successful. And on the other hand, what causes them to stay stuck or held back or even fail, when I believe that real estate is one of the greatest wealth vehicles out there that's available to anyone who wants to dip their toe into it. So I'm excited to be here and discuss all of that with you.
I love it. And as you mentioned, I've been working with you for several years to help me achieve what you call those 5 freedoms. I use real estate. There are many ways to go about doing that, but I just love how you're able to help so many people, myself included, really realize and live the life that they want, right? Because I think, at least in the US, we're so hardwired to think money is the end all be all, right? And it's definitely a great vehicle. No question. I'm very grateful to have money. But I love that you talk about, and you and I focus on everything around that as well, and great life that we can have given those 5 freedoms. Could you tell us a little bit more about that framework that I think is so effective?
Well, it's a great way to kick off the call, and absolutely. And I'm going to invite the listeners to grab a pen and grab a piece of paper, because these are so good, you want to jot them down. And before I share the framework around what we call the 5 freedoms, I first off want to address, really, where are we at in America? What's going on? I mean, there's a great quote from Tony Robbins' coach, and I used to work with and for Tony Robbins for, half a decade as one of his top real estate and business coaches. But Tony's coach had this great quote, Amy, that says that it's not the winds that blow on us that will determine where we end up. It's the set of the sail. And I just love that quote. I'll say it again. It's worth writing down, that it's not the winds of change that blow on us that will determine where we end up. It's the set of the sail. And we got a lot of wind blowing on us. We got the economic wind. We got the interest rate wind. We got the political wind. We got the recession wind. We got the post-COVID hangover wind. Yeah, we've got a lot of wind blowing on us. But I can tell you, as a high-performance coach and a real estate investor, that it's not those winds that blow on you that will determine where you end up. It's the set of the sail. And that's really what this conversation is about. We're here to help the listener set a better sail so that they can go out there and achieve the phenomenal levels of freedoms that are available to them. And so that is my preamble to the 5 freedoms, but I'll let you jump in. Any comments or thoughts to that before we hit all 5?
So powerful, Coach T. And what a great framework, in a way, as you said, kind of a preamble to all of this, because I'll be very frank with you and the audience. 10 years ago, if you would have told me that the key to living life on my terms and these 5 freedoms was what went on between, my ears, my brain, as I point to my brain for those that are listening, and my mindset. That would have been really hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm a very results focused, skills, grinded out, hard work. All of that is incredibly important. But what you've helped me understand, and I know what you talk about a lot, is that mindset aspect. So I appreciate you giving us that frame, the Jim Rohn, that great quote, because it really empowers us and lets us know we're in control of achieving the life that we want to live and these 5 freedoms. Powerful.
That's it. That's so powerful. I mean, again, yes, we've known each other for years, and I know the powerful work you've done to get to this place in life, whether it be your corporate background or you being a real estate investor yourself, you going out there and getting your MBA, literally helping other people, get into real estate and show them, what they could be doing. And you talk about the brain, and really, let's just chat about that and then we'll hit the 5 freedoms, I promise. But
Right.
You got to remember the brain is about a 3-pound mass that sits between your ears to do one thing, and that is to keep you alive and safe. So sometimes for people, when they're going, well, I've only made money from my W-2, right? Then they're unfamiliar with what that income stream could look like if they step out beyond that W-2 and have, this beautiful vehicle called real estate bringing them passive income. Because the world is sped up so fast, we've got so much coming at us. I don't want people to just have one income stream when there's a proven method for them to go out there and create multiple streams of income to take care of their family and their future and all of those things. And that's why Tony Robbins, my coach and mentor, taught me a long time ago, where he says that success is 80% psychology and then 20% mechanics, or what you do with it. And I think that's what you were referring to, is it not?
Yes, spot on, spot on. And I love those tangible numbers because it really helps us understand where to focus our time and attention and how we both want to add value during this episode.
Well, that's it. And then that's the only reason we're here. If we really go back to what is your purpose, what is my purpose, what is everyone's purpose, I have this core belief that we're all here to learn, to live, to laugh, to share, and to grow, and to help other people do the same. And I love that. I'll say it again. We're here to learn, to laugh, to love, to share, to grow, and to help other people do the same. And we do that in personal development. We do that in business, but we really enjoy doing it in real estate. And if you really think about real estate, I mean, people need a place to live, or people need a place to, work, or people need a place to, really store their stuff, or there's all these different asset classes. So it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, whether you're new to real estate, maybe you're an intermediate in real estate, or maybe you're listening to this as an expert in real estate. What I'm about to share in terms of the 5 freedoms is universal, that can take anybody from where they are to where they truly want to be. Are you ready to go here?
My gosh, I'm so excited. I can't imagine how our listeners are feeling. Let's get to it.
Absolutely. And get those pens ready to fly, because this is powerful. And we'll start with what we call the 5 freedoms framework. And that's really, after doing as many calls as I have done, being in real estate as long as I have, I'm married. I have 3 beautiful children. We travel the world internationally, and that's not me beating on my chest. It's just that I've observed through all of these times that people are really after the same 5 things. And what I'm going to do now is go through them one by one, and then I'm going to let you talk about them and how you see them, or you and your husband see them, and some of the investors that you work with all over the US, because I'll bet that they want these 5 things as well. So without further ado, let's kick it off with number 1, which is financial freedom. I said it, financial freedom. Like, let's get this money thing handled. Let's make sure that we understand that great quote that the best way to help the poor isn't to be one of them. And that comes from Tony Robbins. And it's really all about you going out there and figuring out how to add more value, because when you add more value to someone or something, money becomes the byproduct of that value you add. So you might do it as an employee, you might do it as an entrepreneur, but what about real estate? And have you really stopped to seek to understand what it's all about? And it's not just for the elite or rich people. We're talking about it's for anybody who's defiantly committed to finding a way to that financial freedom. So Amy, number 1 is financial freedom. What do you think of that?
It's incredible. I don't know anyone who doesn't want financial freedom, right? Maybe if you grew up middle class like I did, it was this elusive thing, as you said, that maybe only the wealthy and the powerful had. And that mindset shift, that realization of, oh, this is for me too. This is absolutely for me too. this is attainable. This is something that can be a vehicle toward all these other freedoms that you're going to talk about. That financial freedom can be so empowering. And as you said, it's here and within the grasp of the people that are listening to this podcast. That's what I really want folks to take away.
Yeah, you've nailed it. Congratulations. Because again, money is definitely just a way to keep score of adding value to people. And I know how much massive value that you add to your people. And I just want to give you credit where credit's due. You're one of the best in the business. So congrats to you.
Very kind. I've heard I've got a great coach that helps me along the ways.
Not a bad thing to have. Right. That takes us to number 2 of the 5 freedoms. And number 2 is what we call time freedom, right? Time freedom. Because once you've got some financial freedom, now you get back some of your time to go out there and do the things that you want to do, right? So we'll definitely stack those 2 as the first 2, that once you have financial freedom, now you can start to use some of your money to leverage that to hire other people to help you live maybe a better life or do some of the things that you're tired of doing or you no longer want to do, that then free you up to go through the things that you truly are, passionate about. How would you speak to that one, Amy?
Agree. This is something I hear from my investors all of the time that want to invest alongside me in real estate, is the fact that they've understood they can buy back their time through investing in hands-off real estate. So as you mentioned, whether it's spending more time with their children as they grow, because they grow very quickly, or being able to take more vacations, giving back to their community, all of these things, that having the ability to control your time, gosh, is there really anything more powerful? And that mindset shift of, oh, sure, I make quite a bit of money, but you don't get to dictate where you're spending your time. Are you truly free? Are you living that abundant life that all of us are looking for? So thank you so much for bringing that up. And I guess I could talk about it forever, but I know we have limited time. It's just so powerful.
Yeah, it is super powerful. And you stacked on that beautifully. So if number 1 is financial freedom and number 2 is time freedom, let's go to number 3. And that is really something you just talked about. And we call it location freedom, right? Location freedom or geographical freedom, because once you've got your finances in order and you get your time back, now you can get on an airplane and go to anywhere you want in the US or North America or Mexico, South America, Europe, Asia, or even as far away as New Zealand or Australia. And it's really, not until the point that you've got some financial freedom and you've got some time freedom to really leverage and do number 3 at the levels that, I think most people crave. Because if you walked up to anybody in America and you asked them, what's something you really want to do? They say, oh my gosh, I'd love to go to Paris and see the Eiffel Tower. Or I'd love to go to Rome or Italy, or I'd love to go down under and, go to the opera house or see a kangaroo. Right. And again, I'm a big believer as a high performance coach that those dreams aren't just placed on your heart for any old reason. All dreams are placed on your heart so that you get excited and fired up about pursuing them. And it's not achieving them that will really light you up. It's who you become in the process. Right? So if number 1 is you becoming a better, person and working on your financial freedom, and number 2 is you working on understanding how to get your time freedom, and number 3 is being able to take yourself or your family or your loved ones on a holiday, nationally or internationally, how are we doing so far covering the first 3 of the 5 freedoms, Amy? What do you think?
So exciting. Well, gosh, anyone who knows me knows how much I love to travel, and I can't wait to dive into a little bit more of how you've used geographic freedom in your life too, because I will never forget the first time you mentioned this endless summer concept, just to drop a little hint to our listeners there. So we'll get through the rest of the freedoms. We can talk about what you've done, but I think, giving folks ideas of what is possible is just so powerful. We're taught one thing in school and maybe by the media. We're paradigm shifting for folks here, I hope, and I know. So I'm excited to dive into that more and hear the other of the 5 freedoms, Coach T. Have you ever thought about having multiple streams of income? Instead of relying on just one stream of income where you're trading your time for money, how would you like to free up more of your time and live a more abundant life? As a listener of the show, you're invited to attend one of our upcoming trainings where I'll give you an inside look into how you can add passive income and get all the other perks of recession-resistant real estate investing without the headaches of being a landlord. We'll also be sharing some hidden mistakes to avoid and the criteria I personally look for when evaluating potential investment opportunities. To reserve your seat for free, go to sylviscapital.com sylviscapital.com/webinar. Again, that special link to reserve your seat for free is sylviscapital.com/webinar. I look forward to seeing you on the training. And now back to the show.
So that takes us then, after financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom, to number 4, which is what we call freedom to impact. I'll say it again, freedom to impact. And what's that about? Well, once you've got more financial freedom, you've got some time freedom, you've got some location freedom, now you can take your time, your energy, and your effort and go out there and do the things that are near and dear to you. Or maybe they're on your heart, or maybe it's charity work, or maybe there's something that is, so important to you that you want to go out there and move the needle and really leave your legacy. And I know that's something that you've done in terms of, health and, empowering other women and men to step up and play a bigger game. And I know a lot of the people that you work with are medical professionals, they're doctors, they're surgeons, they're people that, play a big level in the C-suite or something where a high tide lifts all boats. So if you really think about it, the financial freedom, the time freedom, the geographical or location freedom, and the freedom to impact, before we get to number 5, how does that all land with you?
Thanks, Coach She. I love this because how many people, I've heard from my investors, I'm sure you've heard this from others as well, that have reached the pinnacle of their career. Many of my investors have. They're making all of this money and they're wondering what's next. And often what is next is this contribution, is this ability to give back on what, like you said, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, puts on their heart to contribute, right? That's how we're designed to be happiest. I'll never forget one of my investors who's a physician said, I want to be able to take my next job based on what I want to do as opposed to my salary. Part of that is him talking about contribution, giving back, serving the patients that he wants to serve instead of looking at that paycheck, and investing. Getting several of these financial freedoms under his belt allows him to have that freedom of contribution and impact. So powerful.
I love it, Amy. Congrats to you and him and everyone else that we both serve, because I think that what happens is when you really, really understand number 4, you have higher levels of fulfillment. You start to feel alive. You start to feel like your life matters even more. And again, we work with some pretty, phenomenal individuals. And we're not ever going to, speak to what they're doing as not being important. But what if there is another level of impact? What if there is another level of you going out there and using your skill set, your mindset, and your heart set to make humanity even bigger, better, faster, stronger? And that's why we donate a lot of our time. We donate a lot of our money, because again, there's nothing better than, going out there and remembering that there's this great Margaret Mead quote where she says, never underestimate what a positive group of like-minded people can do to change the world. For in the end, it's the only thing that ever has. And that then takes us to really a sneak peek into number 5, doesn't it? Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Yeah. Because once you've got that financial freedom, that time freedom, that location freedom, and the freedom to go out there and impact humanity, one of the best things is number 5, and we call that freedom of relationships. Freedom of relationships, not freedom from, but freedom of, where you get to go hang out with other like-minded people like Amy Sylvis, like some of the other clients that I coach, like some of the other doctors and surgeons and medical professionals and business owners that you and I know. And I'm telling you, a high tide lifts all boats. Do you believe that you'd want to be the smartest person in the room? Or do you believe that there's other rooms to get into where other people are going to help you and you're going to help them to go to the next level? Because if you really think about it, we all get to that point in our lives where we're really taking a look around going, is this peer group all that it's meant to be? Or is there another level for me or my spouse or my significant other to ascend to? And I'll tell you, Amy, that's where people start to really see what's possible in what I call chapter 2 of their life. Because we've all come this far, wherever you are in your journey listening to us today, you're probably going to be here for another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years or more with the way, medical advances and technology is going. So you really got to think about, well, where am I in pursuit of my financial freedom, my time freedom, my location freedom, my impact freedom, and the people that I want to hang around with for the next 30, 40, 50 years in terms of that relationship freedom? Because Amy, again, after doing as many calls as I've done, traveling this planet, being in corporate, building my real estate empire, I'll guarantee that everyone listening to this would love to pursue more of those 5 freedoms. And there you go. You've got them all. What do you think?
Oh, Coach T, cannot thank you enough. So powerful. I really believe, again, with the theme of living abundantly, the secrets to living an abundant life, having these goalposts of these 5 freedoms for me, for you, for my investors have really been so helpful because it expands their mind as to what is possible and how their investments, how their hands-on real estate investments can truly get them there. So I think everyone else is nodding their head along with me and smiling for how impactful that is. And I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into these, if you don't mind, and maybe hear an example because spoiler alert, you are a Canadian living in Australia, right? And that didn't just happen by accident. This is very, from what I understand, an intentional part of you and your amazing wife, Lisa's plan to design your life intentionally and live out these 5 freedoms.
Absolutely. And again, we don't say that to beat on our chest, but we've really realized that, after being on this planet for 50 years, and now I'm kind of secretly dripping my age, that in order to do things differently, you've got to really ask yourself, what do you really, really, really want? And as you mentioned, my wife, Lisa, and she's an absolute rock star and a dynamo and a wonderful human being. And we have 3 beautiful children. We thought, what, if we could have things the way we want it, what would that look like? And it wasn't just some sort of chat or talk. It was really like, let's sit down and let's design our lives as if we could live our very best life every day, every week, every month. And what we came up with is, as we are both coaches and consultants and speakers and authors, and we do a lot of stuff, including our real estate portfolio, one thing that was really near and dear to our heart was really showing our children the world, right? In fact, Lisa and I said we'd rather have experiences over material things. And we still have some nice houses and nice cars and some jewelry and all that stuff. But really, that's irrelevant to getting on an airplane and going out there and seeing what I call the beautiful blue planet itself. So we've literally made it our, mission to live what you referred to as that endless summer, where we are in North America 6 months of the year, kind of living that beautiful summer, because America and Canada is just beautiful in those months. But then when it gets a little bit cooler, or the temperatures drop, or that little white stuff called snow comes, we find ourselves living in beautiful Byron Bay, Australia. And again, it's really where the rainforest meets the ocean. And it's all designed because we literally are living in a beautiful home in the rainforest where there's palm trees and tropical birds and all of this beautiful nature. And, we don't just settle for that, 6 months of the year in Canada and 6 months of the year here. We're often found traveling the planet. In fact, this year alone, we're off to Bali for a retreat. Then we're in North America for a real estate conference. Then I'm hosting a mastermind in Cancun. Then I'm meeting some real estate clients of mine to golf in Hawaii. Then I'm speaking at an EO forum. And then ultimately we're back to Australia. But we don't stop there, because then Lisa and I are off to a wedding in Amsterdam. And then we're hosting a mastermind in Mallorca. And we're going to do some crazy stuff in, part 2 of the year. And again, I don't say that to beat on our chest. I say that because anybody that's not just interested, but what I call committed or defiantly committed to living that sort of life can start that process now. What would it look like? How could you start doing it part-time? Could it ever move to 3/4 time or full-time? Where would you like to travel to? And what I've learned, Amy, over the years is the better the question, or the better the quality of the question, the better the quality of the answer. And ultimately, again, you got to know what you want. You got to know why you want it. And then you've got to really remember it's going to take intelligent and inspired action to move towards it. And I love the term intelligent and inspired action, because intelligent for us means smart, and inspired means because we don't have to, we get to, right? And when I do my rocking chair test, that is when I'm 95 or 105 or however long, I'm here, God willing, I don't want to look back at my life and have any regrets, and nor does Lisa. And we want to create great children and eventually grandchildren and maybe great-great-grandchildren who sing from a similar song sheet. And it's not for everybody, but for the people that are defiantly committed to playing full out in this short time we have here on earth, it's an invitation to all of us. And I know that's a fire hose of information, but what do you think of that?
I love it, Coach T. I don't know who wouldn't be inspired hearing you talk about that, because You hit on so many notes there. The first was obviously illustrating the life that you've designed for yourself and Lisa intentionally and your boys, your family. But then also, what are these keys if someone wants to follow your path or follow my path, a path that maybe some people wouldn't believe would be possible, but we're living proof that it can be done. What does that take? And that action, that inspired action, that intentional inspired action is really the key, because these concepts are great. They're exciting, but you must take those next steps, whether it's brainstorming, talking with your significant other, planning that next best step, all of these things. Are there any pitfalls that you see that folks commonly run into as they're trying to design an abundant life? I'd love to hear any advice you'd have around those.
Amy, I got to congratulate you for asking, because there's a ton of stuff. And again, there's only so many, things that we can think about, given that we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And out of the 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, I hate to say this, but roughly 90% of them are negative or are survival based, which means that a very small portion of what we think about is really about, what we call a moving towards modality. So let me unpack that a little bit, and that'll give you and the listener some more insight. But we really have three paradigms that we live in, right? We live in either the past, right? Or we live in the present, or we live in the future. But here's the challenge: because we have more references to the past than we do the present or the future, we tend to make decisions from the familiar past, right? What did we learn in school? What did our parents teach us? What did our teachers teach us, right? What is a core belief that you have that, says, I should just be happy with where I am and the zip code I live in versus, doing what, other people do, which is getting out there and seeing this beautiful blue planet. So you got to ask yourself, am I making this vision from the familiar past, or can I step out of the past and into the present to create what Lisa and I call your predictable future, right? And it's the same thing in real estate. If you haven't invested in real estate, you got to get out of that and step into the now and find somebody like Amy Sylvis of Sylvis Capital to say, is she my who, not how? Is she my who, not how? Is that she's the one that can take me from the present and into the predictable future, where now I've got some passive income coming in. I've got some mailbox money. I'm seeing appreciation. I'm taking all of the stuff and I'm letting Amy and her team really support and run with it. So whether it's in your, real estate world, your health, your finances, your relationships, whatever you want to do, my invitation for people is to really step out of the familiar past and into the present and start thinking, start dreaming, start believing that there's more in store for you, because, in the end, it's the only thing that's ever allowed man and woman to really go out there and crush it. And I've got a framework that I'm happy to share. It's a very short framework, but it's very powerful if you want to do that before we get ready to wrap here. Should we take everyone through that?
Yes, let's do it. That'll be really powerful and helpful.
You bet. So I call this the CBA Goal-Setting System.
Okay.
I'll say that again, the CBA, same first three letters of the alphabet, but backwards, where it's almost like a ladder. At the top of the ladder is the C, in the middle of the ladder is the B, and then at the bottom of the ladder is the A. And that's exactly where we're going to start, because I want you to think of your A ladder or your A goals as being something that is familiar to you that maybe you've already done. So if somebody is listening to this and they've, bought a property, right, and they're familiar with it, an A goal might be to buy another property, right? If you have already traveled internationally and you want to do more international travel, an A goal might be to, travel somewhere that you've been before. Like a lot of people will go to Mexico, to Cabo or somewhere over and over again because it's familiar to them. Right. So think of an A goal as something you've already done. You could probably do it again. You could rinse and repeat it. And I think it's great to have A goals. But let's go up to B goals, Amy, because B goals is a goal that you set for yourself that you haven't done yet, but you're fired up about doing it. Maybe you want to get into your first multifamily apartment syndication. Maybe you want to start your own e-commerce business. Maybe you want to travel to Australia, which is absolutely beautiful, by the way, and you've never been there before. Right. So where an A goal is something you've done, a B goal is something that you haven't done, but you could do it if you really think about it and you find the Amy's or the Trevors or the travel agent or, somebody that can help you get there and go further faster.
Right.
So that's the A and the B. Now let's go to the top of the ladder, Amy, and that's what I call the C goals. And you know what they are. They are the big, fat, hairy, audacious goals where you stretch and you really set yourself up for a massive expansion. Maybe you'd like to own, 500 doors or 1,000 doors as a passive investor. Maybe you want to start your own business. Maybe you want to start your own retreat center. Maybe you want to live internationally. So think of that C goal as something that your lower self would go, oh my gosh, could I ever have it? But your higher self, your best self, and your future self knows that where focus goes, energy flows. And that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. It's the same thing with real estate. If you've never invested in apartment buildings before, when would now be a good time to schedule a call with Amy, right? If you've never worked with a high performance coach before, when would now be a good time to go out there and find one? So again, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. And I use these tools and these frameworks for my own life, but I also use them to help other people just like you and your tribes close that gap from where they are to where they truly could be. Because here's the truth. Time waits for no one, Amy. The next year is going to go by, the next 2, the next 3, the next 5, and we're either going to arrive closer to the 5 freedoms or we're going to be going, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. And that's an invitation for you, for me, for everyone to go back to that quote, that it's not the winds that blow on you that will determine where you end up. It's the set of the sail. And it's my hope that the CBA Goal-Setting System, the 5 freedoms, and everything we've talked about helps people set a better sail for today and forward. What are your thoughts?
I don't even know how to follow up with that, Coach T. It is so clear why you are so successful at everything you do in life, and your willingness to give this powerful information, share your story, encourage people to really live their best life, live it abundantly, and go for it is just, I'm really speechless. I wish I had words because I'm a podcast host, but thank you, Coach T. I really, really appreciate all this great information. And I know the listeners are as fired up as I am. And this was not the first time I've heard this great information. So I hate to cut this short. I know you and I could talk for more and more hours. I know, because we have such a great time together, but we're gonna have to wrap this up. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Coach T, for all that you do for our listeners, for all you do for me, for the real estate community. This has really been special. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. And again, I want to give you a huge shout out because you do so much for the medical community and doctors and nurses and Fortune 500 executives, business owners, like all the people that are in your tribe that we've talked about over the years. You know what? They live a better life because Amy Sylvis is in it. So huge props to you. I'm excited about the podcast. I'm excited to perhaps come back again in the future to, drip a little bit more goodness on the listener. And in the meantime, my invitation to everyone is to check in with 2 things. The first one is really, how hungry are you for more success? Are you going to settle for an appetizer or do you want to eat the buffet? Because if you really, really are committed to it, you can have anything that you want. So check in with that hunger. And the final thing I'll say is passion. Right? Where there's passion, there's probability of purpose and profit. So the more that you lean into something that excites you, like real estate or travel or learning a new musical instrument or something, I'm telling you, you're going to be well served. So with that said, Amy, keep up the great work. Thank you for having me, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Thanks, Coach T. Right before we go, how can people get a hold of you? I want to make sure folks can reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So the best way to reach me is either on social media. LinkedIn might be the quickest and fastest way for you to find me. It's Trevor McGregor, or you can go to my website, trevormcgregor.com. And at that website, you can learn a little bit more about my history, how I've got, some one-to-one coaching opportunities, but I also have some different self-study programs that people can check out. Things like goal setting, goal achievement, time management, mastery, how to become a master of influence or anything like that. And I think that people would really be well served to remember that, where focus goes, energy flows. And if you're focused on growing and you're focused on contributing, you're going to live a better life. So thank you for having me on.
Thanks again, Coach T. This is incredible. Thanks everyone for listening. We look forward to joining you at the next episode. Have an abundant life. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will empower you on your journey towards abundance. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us, and it helps others discover the secrets to an abundant life too. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn, Amy Sylvis. Keep striving for your goals, nurturing your relationships, and embracing the adventure that is life. Until next time, we wish you an abundantly fulfilling day.